Welcome back to the Coins Quest, where we dive deep into the hidden treasures that might be sitting right inside your pocket change. And today's story is one that's going to blow your mind because we're talking about a single 1976 no-mint Mark 1 cent coin that has stunned collectors and experts alike, reaching an unbelievable value of $455,000, all thanks to a fascinating blend of history, minting errors, and extraordinary rarity that transformed what seems like an ordinary Lincoln penny into one of the most desirable and expensive 1-cent coins ever discovered. And as we unravel the mystery behind this small copper coin, you'll see why millions of people are now rechecking their old jars, wallets, and piggy banks in hopes of finding one just like it. So get ready to journey through a world of minting wonders, mistakes, and miracles that make coins like this so special and incredibly valuable, because every coin has a story, but few are as fascinating as the 1976 no-mint Mark 1 cent coin, a true legend in the world of numismatics that carries the legacy of America's bicentennial year and a mystery that has captivated treasure hunters and coin collectors around the world for decades. So let's begin our deep dive into what makes this coin worth almost $500,000 and why it continues to excite experts, auctioneers, and coin enthusiasts to this very day. First, let's set the scene back in 1976, a year filled with celebration, patriotism, and a booming interest in collecting, as the United States celebrated its 200th birthday, and the U.S. Mint was working overtime producing special coins to commemorate the bicentennial, including quarters, half dollars, and dollars with the famous 1776 to 1976 dual date. But what most people don't realize is that while these commemorative coins were getting all the attention, the regular 1-cent coins, the Lincoln pennies, were still being minted as usual. Yet hidden within this massive production run were a few pieces that would defy logic and end up becoming ultra-rare treasures. The 1976 1 cent without a mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which at that time did not include mint marks on its coins, so all 1976 cents without a mint mark technically came from Philadelphia. But the one we're talking about isn't just any Philadelphia penny. It's a coin that possesses an unusual combination of errors that make it stand out from the millions of others. And it's these minting mistakes that propelled its value to jaw-dropping heights. The most notable feature on this extraordinary coin is the doubling found on the obverse side, particularly on the word Liberty, the date 1976, and even on Abraham Lincoln's profile itself, which shows clear signs of a double die strike, meaning the coin die, the metal stamp used to press the design onto blank coins, was misaligned or struck twice during production, causing overlapping images that appear as ghostly duplicates, and while minor doubling is somewhat common and often goes unnoticed, the degree of doubling on this coin is so distinct and dramatic that it immediately caught the attention of collectors. Combine that with a few other anomalies, and you get a coin unlike any other. Some versions of this rare penny have also been discovered with off-center strikes, die cracks, or lamination errors where the metal surface starts peeling or flaking, exposing the raw copper underneath, all of which amplify its uniqueness and desirability. But what really sets this coin apart, beyond its physical mistakes, is its historical timing and scarcity. Because 1976 was such a monumental year, with the Mint focusing heavily on producing bicentennial coins, a smaller portion of resources went into minting the standard Lincoln cent, and within that smaller group, the number of coins with such extreme die errors was minuscule, making authentic examples extraordinarily rare. Now, imagine a coin that slipped through all levels of quality control at a time when the Mint was under immense pressure to produce billions of coins for circulation during the nation's 200th anniversary. It's like lightning striking twice. Only a handful of these coins have ever been verified, and each time one surfaces, it becomes the centerpiece of collector auctions, sometimes fetching hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on condition, provenance, and eye appeal. The $455,000 example was one such case, discovered in near-perfect mint state condition, with its errors sharply visible, no signs of circulation wear, and a deep, natural copper-red luster that collectors dream about. What makes this even more exciting is that it could still be out there, sitting unnoticed in a coin jar, mixed in with ordinary cents, waiting to change someone's life forever. Many of the most valuable pennies ever found were discovered purely by accident, by regular people who happened to look a little closer at their change, and that's what makes coin collecting such a thrilling hobby. It's the modern-day treasure hunt where knowledge and curiosity can literally pay off big time. When you hold a 1976 penny in your hand, you might think it's just another old cent, but to a trained eye, small differences tell big stories, and the tiniest variation in how it was struck can mean the difference between 1 cent and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Let's talk more about the errors that give this coin its worth. One of the rarest and most desirable forms of error on any coin is the doubled die, and in the case of the 1976 no-mint mark penny, the doubling is believed to have occurred during the master die hubbing process when the die was impressed more than once with slight misalignment. This produced the striking effect where the letters of Liberty, in God We Trust, and even parts of Lincoln's face appear duplicated or shadowed. Under magnification, the doubling is crisp and well-defined, especially on high-grade examples, and this is exactly the kind of error that seasoned collectors look for because it's not caused by post-mint damage, it's a genuine minting anomaly that increases a coin's value exponentially. There are also variations where the reverse side of the coin, the Lincoln Memorial, displays die deterioration doubling, creating a hazy, stretched effect on the lettering, though these examples are less valuable than true doubled dies. Then there's the matter of planchet composition. Although by 1976 the mint was still using primarily copper, 95% copper and 5% zinc, slight variations in metal mix sometimes occurred due to contamination or inconsistent alloy blending, and certain specimens of the 1976 penny show unusual coloration, with either a reddish gold or deep brown hue that stands out from typical examples. Some experts have even theorized that a few error coins were struck on leftover foreign planchets intended for other denominations or even other countries, which could explain subtle weight differences in some of the rarest specimens. Now, let's imagine for a moment what it must feel like to find one. Picture yourself sorting through a pile of pennies, maybe while rolling coins for the bank or searching through a collection you inherited. When you notice something off, the date seems a little thicker, the letters seem doubled, and there's a strange texture to the surface. You take a closer look, maybe with a magnifying glass, and realize this could be something special. That's exactly how most rare finds happen, through patience, curiosity, and a bit of luck. People who specialize in coin roll hunting, the practice of buying rolls of coins from banks and searching through them for rare varieties, live for discoveries like this. And the best part? You don't need to be a millionaire to start. All it takes is time, attention, and the willingness to learn what to look for. When it comes to the 1976 no-mint mark penny, collectors focus on a few key diagnostic markers to identify the genuine rarity: sharp, clear doubling on the obverse, no-mint mark under the date, consistent copper coloration, and no signs of tampering or mechanical damage. Coins that check these boxes and are authenticated by a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC can fetch life-changing amounts at auction. The $455,000 sale was confirmed at a major numismatic event where bidders from around the world competed to own a piece of history. And it wasn't just about the money. It was about the story behind the coin, its perfection, its error, and its connection to one of America's most iconic years. Every serious collector dreams of finding a specimen like that, and it's that dream that fuels the passion behind shows like the Coins Quest. Because what makes this hobby so magical is that it's not limited to museums or millionaires, it's open to everyone. The idea that something as small as a penny could carry such immense value, both historical and monetary, is a reminder of how unpredictable and fascinating our world can be. But the story doesn't stop there. Because even beyond the doubled die and planchet anomalies, some 1976 cents display die cracks that run across Lincoln's head or through the date, forming what collectors affectionately call cracked skull or lightning strike varieties. Next, 1987 D1 cent USA coin. Today's journey takes us deep into the fascinating mystery of the 1987 D Lincoln 1 cent coin, a simple-looking penny from Denver that has captured the attention of collectors and investors around the world after one extraordinary example sold for a staggering $320,000. proving once again that even the most ordinary coin can hold extraordinary value when struck by the perfect storm of minting errors, rarity, and historical intrigue. So buckle up, because we're diving into a world where microscopic imperfections become massive treasures and where the story of a single coin can transform into a tale of human error, mechanical precision, and the unpredictable beauty of chance. The 1987 penny, like millions of others produced at the Denver Mint that year, was part of the Lincoln Memorial Cent series, a design that had been circulating since 1959, featuring the iconic portrait of Abraham Lincoln by Victor David Brenner on the obverse and the detailed image of the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But within that ocean of identical coins, a few unique mistakes turned a select handful into priceless rarities. To understand how this happened, we have to go back to the production floor of the Denver Mint in the mid-1980s, a period when the U.S. Mint was transitioning from primarily copper-based planchets to zinc-based ones coated with copper, a shift that introduced an entirely new set of challenges in quality control. The alloy change, which had begun in 1982, caused several unexpected problems for minting machinery, including die deterioration, planchet imperfections, and striking inconsistencies that occasionally produced spectacular errors. And that's where our story begins. The 1987 penny worth $320,000 is believed to be a combination of multiple rare errors all appearing on a single coin, making it one of the most valuable modern Lincoln cents ever documented. Experts describe it as a multi-error specimen, exhibiting both a double die on the obverse and an off-metal strike, which means it was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for another denomination, possibly a dime, or even a foreign coin. Imagine a copper-plated zinc blank landing in the wrong press, getting hit by the wrong die alignment, and somehow escaping unnoticed into circulation. That's how miracles like this are born. The double die aspect is the first and most visually striking feature. Under magnification, the date 1987, the word Liberty, and parts of Lincoln's eye and nose show clear, distinct doubling caused during the die creation process when the hub that imprints the design onto the die shifted slightly between impressions. This is not a common machine doubling, which flattens the design. This is true hub doubling, a structural duplication that adds depth and dimension, instantly recognizable to trained eyes. On top of that, this coin was struck slightly off-center, leaving a thin blank crescent along one edge while compressing the opposite rim, and yet the design remained complete, a combination that collectors find visually stunning and technically fascinating because it demonstrates just how narrowly the coin escaped becoming a rejected misstrike. But what pushes this penny into the six-figure range is its off-metal composition. Testing revealed that this particular example was struck not on the usual zinc-coated planchet used for pennies, but on a blank intended for another denomination, possibly a 10-cent piece made primarily of copper nickel, resulting in a coin that's slightly lighter and has a silvery sheen under certain lighting. The mixture of color and texture is one of the first clues that something is off, and when combined with the double die and off-center strike, it becomes a numismatic anomaly of extraordinary proportions. Only one known specimen with this exact trio of errors, double die, off-metal, and off-center, has ever been authenticated, and when it appeared at auction, the bidding frenzy that followed proved just how passionate the coin collecting community can be when faced with such an unprecedented find. The hammer price reached $320,000, an amount few would ever associate with a 1-cent coin from the 1980s, but to serious collectors, the value wasn't just in the rarity. It was in the story, the history, and the near impossibility of replicating the exact conditions that produced it. Now, what makes this even more intriguing is that the Denver Mint in 1987 was known for high efficiency and quality control, meaning that coins with such dramatic errors almost never made it out. So how did this one slip through the cracks? Experts suggest that during high-speed production, the automated feeders occasionally jammed, causing blank planchets from previous runs to get stuck in the machinery and later be struck by newer dies meant for different coins. These mechanical mishaps, while rare, were nearly impossible to catch without close inspection, and with billions of pennies being produced, a few oddities were bound to escape into circulation unnoticed. This one, however, didn't just escape, it survived in mint state condition, virtually untouched by human hands for decades before being discovered. That preservation alone adds immense value because condition is everything in numismatics. A circulated coin with the same errors might fetch a few $1,000s, but an uncirculated specimen with perfect luster, no scratches, and crisp details commands astronomical figures. The $320,000 example was graded MS-67 by a top-tier grading service, meaning it was nearly flawless, a condition so pristine that even professional graders remarked on its brilliance. Beyond its physical attributes, the 1987 penny has also become symbolic of a fascinating era in American coinage. The 1980s marked a time when technology and tradition clashed at the mint. Old mechanical processes were being replaced with digital monitoring systems, but imperfections still slipped through, and for collectors, those imperfections became works of art. The switch from copper to zinc not only changed the weight and feel of the penny but also made it more susceptible to errors. Zinc planchets are softer and prone to blistering, plating bubbles, and peeling, and many 1987 pennies show signs of lamination defects where the thin copper coating separates slightly from the zinc core. These minor errors are common and usually only add a few dollars to a coin's value, but in rare cases like our $320,000 example, a perfect storm of mistakes combine to create something truly exceptional. The story of its discovery is just as compelling. It wasn't found by a professional numismatist or a museum curator. It was uncovered by an everyday collector going through a bag of old pennies purchased from a bank. The finder noticed something strange about one coin. The color looked off, the sound it made when dropped was higher pitched than a normal penny, and under magnification, the date seemed to have shadowed doubling. After careful research and confirmation by experts, it was authenticated as one of the rarest modern Lincoln cents ever found. Imagine the thrill of realizing that a single penny from your pocket could be worth more than a luxury car or even a house. That's what makes coin collecting such a captivating pursuit. The idea that treasure is hiding in plain sight, waiting for a curious eye to notice. The Denvermint mark, D, below the date is another point of fascination. While the 1987 D penny was mass-produced in the hundreds of millions, not all dies were created equal. Some had minor variances in alignment, pressure, and hubbing depth, leading to slight distortions that can differentiate one batch from another. Collectors spend hours studying these small differences because sometimes the smallest detail, the tilt of a letter, the thickness of a digit, or a micro crack in the die, can transform an ordinary coin into a highly sought-after rarity. The $320,000 specimen has a distinct die crack running faintly from Lincoln's coat to the rim, a feature that helps identify it as a unique die pairing, essentially confirming its singular origin. This is what's called die variety attribution, a process where experts catalog and map out each die used at the mint to trace specific error coins back to their source. In the case of the 1987 D penny, that traceability adds to its prestige and authenticity. When word of this discovery spread, it reignited interest in searching 1980s-era pennies, a period often overlooked by collectors who traditionally focus on older wheat cents or early memorial issues. Suddenly, 1,987 rolls from banks were in high demand, and YouTube channels, including ours, were flooded with viewers eager to learn how to identify valuable errors. The ripple effect of one coin's discovery created a surge in public awareness about modern mint errors, reminding everyone that history,